We are looking at an election. I don't want you to look at which party is going to come into, but any party that comes in or any government that comes, the next government, you saw up to 2047. I'd like you to look for the next 5 years. What would be the 3 or 4 things you would advise the next government to focus on urgently?
One thing is very certain, sir, that if Bihar has to grow, then this plank, social justice with development, predominantly has to be there, sir. This is very, very important according to me. And some of the areas which I will personally advise is, look at the tourism sector. This is one sector we can, there's a huge, tremendous opportunity for all of us, sir. So if you look at our Bodh Gaya, if you look at the particular temple, Mata Sita ka we are making in Sitamarhi, if you look at Haryarnath, which we are again thinking of developing it, look at the potential we have in a place like Munger. Chhat is celebrated across the globe, and I was very happy to read that if all goes well, this may come under UNESCO list also.
Right.
Now, the origin of this, Surya Putra, the land, if you will see, the Ang Pradesh, Munger and that belt, so all these are potential tourist hubs. So this is another area of focus we should look at. And of course, I have mentioned about urbanization. It is something which next 5 years we have to work in a mission mode. This, we have done a lot of work in a lot of sectors, but urbanization is one area where we must work in a mission mode. We must break it down phase-wise, and we should start again the same thing which we did in other sectors. Let's start with the fundamentals. Look at the problem of the water logging which we face. Of course, the rains and the kind of contour which we have. Look at our any big town. So we should start working on it. And same is for our industrialization. So we have to focus on tourism, industries, urbanization, but we should never forget the plank that development in Bihar has to be an inclusive one. It has to be social justice with development.
I think that's a very good point to take off, and really, a pertinent point, as you can see from the applause. One of the things, the image that Bihar has, I think you've changed a lot of that image in these last 5 years and the way you spoke as well. But migration, right? We all have seen that. It's not the largest state that has, largest migrants come from Bihar. UP, neighboring UP has the record for that. But what would you do to reverse that process and bring the Biharis right back here to where they belong to? And also look at per capita income, because when you're, at the end of the day, it's prosperity that will bring and keep people in their own states. Bihar, as we know, has among the lower per capita incomes, has improved, but still, when you look at the national average, far below it. And if you take a look at education again, dropout rates versus... So what would you do to reverse the migration and therefore even bring down the percentage? I'm not saying you can completely reverse it. That's not good in many ways. We do want India and the strength of Biharis and their intelligence to be spread across India. There's no objection to that. But what would you do?
The government has already set a target of creating 1 crore jobs in the next 5 years. That's a cabinet approved document. It is for everybody to see. And we have a very clear-cut goal. And as you mentioned, why this 1 crore jobs we are talking about is, see, people who are willing to migrate and go. We should not even stop them. In India, in a democracy, everybody has a right to move for better opportunities to any state which is offering them. But conscious efforts of the state government, when we are keeping a target of 1 crore, is basically primarily, this is one of the factors that how do we try to help those who want to be inside. And you heard me, if you see these 3-4 areas, and one of the very significant example could be perhaps, if you see our self-help group, the Women Power Empowerment, the scheme which has been launched day before yesterday, in presence of the Honorable Chief Minister by the Honorable Prime Minister, Mukhyamantri Mahila Rozgar Yojana. See, what is the philosophy and the basic, thing about that scheme is that what we are looking at is creating Lakpati Didis. And the kind of response which we are getting from our Didis, I don't know whether you heard them on that day, it was a live telecast on the national TVs. All these 4 women, they made us immensely proud that Bihar, how these women are shaping up the confidence and the way they were talking to the Honorable Prime Minister, responding to him. So when we are giving this money under this scheme, it is basically for their employment, self-employment. And just visualize the number of direct and indirect employment which this scheme alone is going to create in rural and urban Bihar in next 5 years. So the figures are going to be there. Industries I have already mentioned. Why our aggressive push is on this new brand, like we call it the new normal. Industries department today, the way they are branding themselves, the way they are positioning themselves, with the support of the government, is only with the purpose that we want to attract the best. If we are talking about the major anchor industries moving in Bihar, it is bound to create employment. Same as I mentioned about agriculture area, where we are talking about, from agriculture to agribusiness. Similarly, when we talk about tourism and our other policies, so all combined, see, I strongly believe that one shoe size is not going to fit all. We have our own strengths, we have our own challenges. So whatever policy which we envisage, which we make, we have to keep these things in mind. And I still tell you the kind of platform that which we have prepared. And we may not be there 3 years down the line. My colleagues will be there in our chair. But you should come again and interview them. After 3 years, you will find 80% of your questions have been answered by figures and by actual work the way we have done.